a benevolent alien who comes to Earth to save us Earthlings from monsters. This is such a comforting plotline for any type of media. Since its first airing, Ultraman has captured the hearts of several fans with its beautiful concept and heart-touching characters. With interesting set designs, amazing monsters, and a nice story overall, the Ultraman TV series is a comfort series for several people. Today we will take a look at the story of the series. So strap in, and let's dive deep into the adventures and misadventures of the benevolent alien from Nebula M78. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. The rich backstory of Ultraman in the iconic Japanese TV series. The saying goes, old is gold. Even though there have been several newer adaptations of the benevolent alien from Nebula M78, there is something about the Japanese TV show that every fan of Ultraman holds dear to their heart, with the very practical costume designs and effects that are quite old school. This show has a charm of its own. There is something so nostalgic about this TV series that even though it aired in 1966, it still has a huge fan following. So let's look at the rich backstory of the Ultraman TV series and learn a little about our hero from outer space. The story starts with Shin Hayata, a Science Special Search Party member, better known as the Science Patrol, on a scout mission. He saw something that seemed to be a flying object he could not recognize. His captain instructed Hayata to keep pursuing the flying object, which is what Hayata did. However, things took a sharp turn for the worse soon. A red orb was following the blue orb that Hayata had seen. The blue orb entered a nearby lake, capturing the attention of all the people camping by it. Right in front of the onlookers, Hayata's ship crashed into the red ball, and there was a small explosion. The onlookers notice Hayata lying down next to the wreckage, but before they can reach out and help the unconscious man, the body is lifted in the air in the same red glowing ball that Hayata collided against. Inside that ball, Hayata met with an alien being. It turns out that the alien in the red vessel was chasing the monster in the blue vessel back from his homeland, Nebula M78. The monster, called the Bemular, had escaped the monster graveyard, and it is known to cause a lot of trouble and chaos wherever it went. The alien being wanted to work with Hayata to keep the peace on Earth. As the crash with the red vessel cost Hayata his life, this alien decided to offer his life instead. The alien wanted to share his life force with Hayata and be one with him. And whenever Hayata needed the alien, he could call him up by using a small device called the Beta Capsule. After handing over the Beta Capsule, the alien seemingly disappeared. When Hayata met with his teammates, he learned that Hayata had been missing the whole night. However, there was not much time to dilly-dally and chit-chat. The monster Bemular, whom the alien had been chasing, was resting under the lake, giving our heroes the best opportunity to launch an attack and escape unscathed. That is what they did. Hayata decided to use a submarine and attack the monster underwater while his teammates flew around in the jet and attacked the monster from above. The fight was seemingly going well when the monster suddenly picked up Hayata's submarine in its mouth and threw it aside. Using the laser beam, the monster can emit from his mouth, and the monster sets the submarine on fire. To save himself and his teammates, who were now the main target of Bemular, Hayata called upon the alien. After the press of the Beta Capsule, the alien showed up and got into a brawl with Bemular. The fight lasted only 3 minutes, and as the time was running out, marked by the blinking red light on the alien's chest, the alien could defeat Bemular and save the day. Hayata explained to his curious teammates that this alien was the one who saved him, and that is where the alien gets the moniker Ultraman. The next time Ultraman showed up to save the day was when a UFO showed up in Japan. It showed up in the dead of night, and it disappeared immediately after showing up. Not only that, but all the people were stopped mid-work in a building. It was like they were playing red and green light, and they could not move anymore. This was rather concerning and led to a Defense Council meeting being held, even though the Science Patrol Captain, Muramatsu, suggested that it would be better to talk to the aliens about it instead of attacking them with the nuclear weapon known as Hagatake. But the people in the Defense Council felt otherwise. When the Science Patrol showed up to investigate, they came across a strange sight. Like this human-insect hybrid, they saw that the alien had taken over Arashi's body to communicate. This alien had left their home for a better habitat, and since Earth has no spacium, the insect wanted to stay on Earth with their more than 2 billion population. Their ship was turned invisible and kept away from human eyes. Knowing that 2 billion insectoid creatures wanted to take over Earth was enough to put Hayata in motion. He used the beta capsule and called forth Ultraman when the Hagatake, the nuclear weapon, did nothing to hurt the aliens known as the Baltans. Ultraman showed up, and at first he tried to beat Baltan without using any special moves. However, the Baltan seemingly made copies of itself to make it confusing for Ultraman, so he did not have much choice but to use the Spacium beam instead. Once the beam was fired, the Baltan was set on fire and eventually destroyed. We get to see Ultraman use what is known as the fluoroscopy ray to unlock the Baltan ship, which was sunk to microscopic levels. Once the ship was uncloaked, Ultraman easily pushed the ship out of the Earth's atmosphere, saving the day again. Fuji, the only female reporter of the Science Patrol team, decided to investigate a couple of centuries-old wells by the Osaka Castle because people complained about noises coming out from there. Her brother, Hoshino, decided to tag along. Upon reaching the well, Hoshino decided to descend into it even though the policemen accompanying them and Fuji found it dangerous. To save her brother, Fuji descended into the well right after him. Hoshino, trying to follow the drafts to get out of the well system, came face to face with a huge eye. This monster, who was now awake, decided to leave the good system, and that caused a massive cave-in. Hoshino and Fuji barely survived the cave-in by swimming along the channel in the well and ended up on a beach. But once the monster was out in the air, it targeted a power plant near the well. It was invisible for the most part, except when it was taking in more and more electricity and getting energized. The Science Patrol was informed about this situation, and they hurried to save their friends in need. Even though they found Fuji and Hoshino safe, the condition of the power plant was very dire. Not only that, but soon enough, the monster showed up at the second power plant, the Iwa Power Transmission Station. Arashi and Hayata show up there when the monster has started feeding on the power. Despite Hayata's pleas, Arashi decided to go and zap the monster and instead got zapped himself. Once Arashi was down, the monster returned to feeding on the power without caring about anything else around it, and once it was done, it disappeared, leaving a wreckage behind it. While the Science Patrol team discussed their next move in a hotel, Hoshino explained that the monster was none other than the Naranga, the monster of the legends surrounding the well. This monster has supposedly been in that well since the time of samurais, and that was when the Science Patrol team figured out that Naranga was out to get more and more power. The next power supply would be the biggest power station in Iwa, which supplied 60% of Tokyo's power. Everybody showed up there, including Hoshino, who had taken a weapon called the Spider. Even though the defense team was there, nothing could keep Naranga at bay. Hoshino attacked it with the spider and blinded one of his eyes, understandably angering Naranga. Hoshino tried to escape Naranga's wrath and passed out when he fell and hit his head. When Hayata picked up Hoshino, Hoshino mentioned that he wanted Ultraman to come and save them. This led Hayata to move away to keep his identity a secret and turn into Ultraman. We see a spiral beam shoot out from the beta capsule, and then Hayata is turned into a human size of Ultraman, and then over a matter of seconds, he grows into the giant form. At first, Ultraman easily takes the electric blast from Naranga and overpowers Naranga in the fight, even though his color timer was activated, signifying his time would run out. Ultraman managed to break off the horns that Naranga used to consume electricity. Once Naranga was down, he blasted the monster with the Spacium beam, destroying him for good. In 3 episodes, we realized that while Ultraman showing up gave the Science Patrol team the means to defeat any threat, it also opened Earth up to these types of intergalactic threats. We also learned the basics about Ultraman in these episodes, including his power source, which happens to be sunlight. Ultraman can also stay in the Earth's atmosphere for 3 minutes, and as his time runs out, his color timer starts glowing red. Throughout the TV series, we see Ultraman fight various different foes and see how things work out for him. Some were easy wins for him, like in the case of Bemular, Baltan, and Naranga, but others were not that easy for him. But that never stopped Ultraman from caring. As we come to the end of this TV series, we see that life for the Science Patrol team is not smooth sailing at all. As Ultraman has been showing up and saving the characters for quite a while, Ide has not been feeling like a part of the team. He felt like Ultraman was overshadowing their capabilities, and in a way, Ide was very much dependent on Ultraman. On the other hand, as Ultraman had been fighting with monsters for the sake of saving Earth, a monster chieftain known as Geronimon had decided to bring 60 monsters to life and wreak havoc all over the Earth. The monsters that showed up as a warning were Pigmon, Dorako, and Telesdon. Now, Pigmon had died before, but this chieftain had brought him back. Pigmon had a good relationship with the Science Patrol team and decided to warn them. This warning helped, because taking Telesdon down was easy for the Science Patrol. However, when they were trying to take down Draco, Hayata noticed that Ide was not pulling his weight. Instead of standing his ground, he was asking for Ultraman to show up, which led Hayata deciding not to change into Ultraman. Pikmin saw that Draco was about to hurt Ide and sacrificed himself to protect Ide from distracting the bigger monster. This enraged Hayata, and he smacked Ide. Hayata literally smacked sense into Ide because once he saw what his cowardice had done, Ide was able to defeat Draco without the help of Ultraman. When Geronimon showed up, Ultraman did show up because Geronimon was quite the opponent. His zero-gravity beams were hurting the Science Patrol, and Ultraman had to get the members to safety first. While the chieftain had the upper hand with his feather shots, soon enough, Ultraman pinned the villain down and ripped out his feathers, which allowed Ide's park bombs to finally fill the monster. But this was not the only monster who had the ability to make things a little difficult for Ultraman. When the Science Patrol team ended up on Planet Q to get a BM fuse to make sure the NASA spaceship did not explode, the Science Patrol team ended up coming across two monsters who were fighting on Planet Q. There was a beetle-like monster called Kayla and a four-legged monster called Saigo. Kayla used a bright flash to blind Saigo to win the fight, revealing that it was the same flash seen by the members of the NASA station and Science Patrol that blinded them. As Saigo was injured, he ran away to hide from Kayla, and he ended up in front of the Science Patrol ship. The Science Patrol team thought that Saigo would attack them, and they killed him with the rover's missile. But soon after that, they came across Kayla. Kayla was not going to let them leave, and it was important that the patrol team showed up at the space station with the BM fuse. Otherwise, the station would blow up. So Ultraman showed up to distract Kayla as the ship flew away. Kayla proved to be a difficult opponent as he was able to shake off the Spacium beam as well as Ultra Slash. Kayla even blinded Ultraman with his eye flash. However, eventually, the hero won with a combination of his Ultra Attack Ray and Ultra Psychokinesis. However, there was a stronger opponent for Ultraman than Kayla. It was Zeton. Zeton was a giant monster that acted as the main weapon for an alien race that had been trying to invade Earth since the 1930s. Zeton was able to shake off Ultra Slashes and destroy Ultraman's catch rings with ease. In fact, this monster was at par with Ultraman when it came to physical strength. Ultraman was weak, and when he fired the Spacium beam, he thought that Zeton would fall victim to it. Instead, Zeton took in the Spacium beam, absorbed it, and redirected it back to him. Ultraman's color timer was destroyed because of it. Ultraman was almost at the doorstep of death, and all hope was lost until Dr. Iwamoto showed up with an anti-gravity bullet. Using the anti-gravity bullet, Zeton was defeated, but there was nothing joyous about this victory. Ultraman was dying, and there was nothing that could be done. Suddenly, a red glowing orb showed up, and inside it, there was another alien who looked like Ultraman, called Zophy. Zophy wanted to take the original Ultraman home and help him heal, but when Ultraman explained about Hayata's situation and that his leaving would kill off Hayata, Zophy gave Hayata a life of his own so that Hayata could stay alive even without Ultraman. With that, Zophy and Ultraman went back to Nebula M78, while Hayata came back to his teammates with no memory of ever being bonded to the hero. But this ending was changed in the English version, as in that one, Hayata remembered being bonded with Ultraman. This was not the last time we got to see Ultraman come help humans, though. Since this Ultraman, we have had other Ultramans like Ultraman Ace, Ultraman Taro, Ultraman Mebius, and many more. The biggest ally of Earth has returned time and time again to keep us safe and keep the monsters at bay. A dive into the extraordinary abilities and techniques of Ultraman. Ultraman is a superhero with several abilities and techniques. However, some of his abilities are worth mentioning. Spacium Beam. This is Ultraman's finishing move in most of the fights. He puts his arms together and makes a plus sign, with his left arm being the horizontal one. This move can often take down any monster in just one hit. The beam comes out from the reaction of the positive Spacium energy in his left hand and the negative Spacium energy in his right. The beam produced has a destruction ability of 500,000 horsepower and a temperature of 500,000 degrees Celsius. Ultra Slash. It is basically like this killer halo of energy that Ultraman shoots from both his hands. He forms them in his hands, and on impact, they slice through the opponents with ease. Ultra Attack Beam. It is an attack move, and it is spiral in nature. The beams come out as green rings of energy from his closed fist, and when he crosses his arms, there is an explosion. Ultraman is not a machine, no matter how much he looks like one. He has a skin that is impenetrable for the most part, and it plays a crucial role in his defense abilities. It is immune to any type of explosion, heat, and even electricity. He can simply absorb whatever is thrown his way, including the same special material that his special beams are made of. Ultraman can also change his size, and he has a handy-dandy travel sphere, the red globe we see when he is first introduced. Ultraman has ultra willpower, which he uses to telekinetically control his objects or enemies, which definitely come in handy with the type of creatures he faces off against. These are just a few of his special moves that we found very cool personally. And if you find some other moves just as cool, feel free to let us know in the comments below. Marvelous verdict! Since its first introduction to the crowd, this particular Japanese series has garnered quite a cult following. It explores the life of the Science Patrol members, develops their character, and paints them in such a distinct fashion, by the time the TV series ends, you would find yourself wishing it never did because you keep wanting to watch more adventures of the Science Patrol team with Ultraman. Even though there have been several adaptations of Ultraman over the years, none of them hit the sweet spot quite like the original Japanese TV series does. My personal favorite moment from the TV show is when Hayata mistakes a spoon for his beta capsule. Do let us know in the comments which one is your favorite moment from this TV series. If you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.